Jaya Radha Madhuva Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhuva Kunya Bihari Gopi Jana Malaba Kiribadodhahuti Gopi Jana Malaba Kiribadodhahuti Yasodanandana Rajadanarandahula Yasodanandana Brajachanaran Jana Jamuna Tera Manachare Yamuna Tera Manachare Jayaranu Madhava Kunya Bihagute Jayaranu Madhava Kunya Bihagute Gopi Janabalaba Irivadadagore Gopi Janabalaba Irivadadagore Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tera Vanachagute Yamuna Tera Vanachagute Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihagute Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihagute Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravatikacharya all Subteta Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Chalananda Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Horidas Thakur Vijay. Rebse Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Gajaya Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shai Makunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Kijai Vrindavanam Kijai Maturanam Kijai Jagadada Sami Kijai Yamunamaya Kijai Shimati Lasi Devi Kijai Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Kijai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bo. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. Glorious the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. My own Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale. Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Samadhi Namadi Namaste Saraswati Devi. Gauravani Pacharni Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschachite Chitarni. So today we are reading, beginning with text 24 of the 59th chapter of the 10th canto. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Astal Shid Atak Vishvesham Devi Deva Vararchitam Pranjali Pranata Rajan Bhakti Pavanaya Diya Astau Siddhnata Vishvesham Devi Deva Varachitam Pranjali Pranatarajan Bhakti Pavana Bhakti Pavanayadiha Astau Siddhnata Vishvesham Devi Deva Vararchitam Pranjali Pranatarajan Bhakti Pavanayadiha O Astau Siddhnata Vishvesham Devi Deva Vararchitam Pranjali Pranatarajan Bhakti Pavanayadiya Vishvesham Devi Deva Varachitam Pranatarajan Bhakti Pavandiyadiya Astau Shirata Vishvesham Deva Vararchitam Pranjali Vanata Rajan Bhakti Pavanayadiya. Okay. Astaushid, praised. Ata, then. Vishwa, of the universe. Isham, the Lord. Devi, the goddess. Deva, of demigods. Vara, by the best. Architam, who is worshipped. Pranjali, folding her palms. Pranata, bow down. Rajan, O King Parikshit. Bhakti, of devotion. Pavanaya, full. Diya, with a mentality. So translation. O king, after bowing down to him and then standing with joined palms, the goddess, her mind filled with devotion, began to praise the Lord of the universe, whom the best of demigods worship. So you can repeat, O king, after bowing down to him and then standing with joined palms, the goddess, her mind filled with devotion, began to praise the Lord of the universe, whom the best of demigods worship. So there's no commentary by the followers of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So we are going to read the commentaries by the Acharyas. So Jiva Goswami says pretty much, well, let's read the whole commentary. After offering the stolen items, she, overwhelmed with devotion in her mind, the awe, in order to praise him, first offered respects and then folded her hands. Or lowering her head and folding her hands, she began praising him, since he was the Lord of the universe, and thus worshipped by the best devatas like Brahma. She praised him with such words. And Sanatana Goswami's commentary is pretty much the same thing, except for the last sentence or two. This was because she was dear to the Lord Devi, or shining Devi, with bhakti. This indicates that she knew the glories of the Lord. O king, please understand the meaning of the prayer. So this is the sort of the introductory stanza for the prayers, which Bhumi is going to offer. So again, Astav shed ata vishvesham Devi Deva Virarchitam Pranjali Pranata Rajan Bhakti Pavanaya Diya. So Omagana Timidanda Shah Gananjana Shlakya Chakshur Un Militam Yena Tasmai Shigadaveda Maha. So one thing you'll notice is quite interesting. First of all, her son has just been killed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I mean, I think that most mothers would be quite upset, isn't it? Like Prabhupada said, the closest thing to pure love in this world is what? The love the mother has for her child. And, you have so many statements like, the mother sees the blind child is having Padmalochana. Padmalochana means lotus eyes. So it's like that. And sometimes, as ISKCON managers, we have to deal with parents of misbehaved children. I'm using this term euphemistically. Misbehaved children. I mean, children that may even create a danger. Welcome. children that may create a danger to other children. And parents are in denial about it. It's natural love. We don't want to discourage it. I mean, sometimes in the beginning days of the Krishna consciousness movement, the preachers would sort of discourage the love between the child and the mother. And they would consider it to be, what? Maya, or illusion. You're not the body. You're not the body, kid. And your mother is not your mother. Actually, your real mother is what? Radharani or Mother Earth or whatever. Not even Mother Earth. Durga. No, that's an Indian community. So anyway. What's that? Oh yeah, the poor kid gets so confused. The parent just gets angry. Or the parent listens to you, and guess what happens? Then the kid gets completely befuddled and has psychological problems for the rest of his life. And the parent is feeling guilty for the rest of her life. The parent and the mother and the father. Even though the father's love is not as great as the mother's love. Prabhupada actually said that. Even comparatively, Yashodamai with Nanda Maharaj, Yashodamai has much more love. I mean, it's complete love on both of their parts. We don't want to use so much of a comparison, but let's say it's more intense love, okay, rather than much more. But we're going to say intense, but it is more. So here's Lakshmi, here is Bhu Devi, sorry. Lakshmi, Bhu Devi, because they both have the same mood. So here's Bhu Devi, and these are both consorts, eternal consorts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because Bhumi is an expansion of the eternal Bhu Devi in the spiritual world, just like you go to Tirupati, you see Lakshmi and Bhu, and also in Srirangam and any of the traditional temples in South India, you'll see Bhu Devi and Sri Devi. So anyway, so here she is, the mother, and her son has been killed. And obviously, she's been living with her son too, because obviously she's the one who has access to the earrings, the umbrella, and everything else. And obviously, I don't know whether she was trying to advise her son. Most likely she was trying to advise her son, but the son wouldn't listen to her. And that happens sometimes too. So, anyway, getting to the point. So, why is she just like offering prayers? Why isn't she just like, how could you kill my son? And like most mothers would do if their husband killed the son. So the reason is she is in a mood of awe and reverence, like Lakshmi is in a mood of awe and reverence. She's not, even though she's a wife of the Lord, still it's not that she has this like type of relationship where she can chastise her husband. And sometimes we find in ISKCON, the husbands preach to the wives and tell the wives, you should be like that too. No matter what I do, it should be what? Ashlishava pada padashtumama darshana mamra tukaro karotava yata data bhavata tu lambato matprana natas tu sevanapra. Isn't it preached like that? That you should be like Lakshmi. Of course, they don't usually say Bhu Devi or Bhumi. And, whatever I do, you should just be like submissive. And we see in the pastimes of Lord Ramchandra that some of the citizens of Ayodhya had that particular attitude. The wife is just a chattel, or it's possession. Or a servant or a slave or something like that. And therefore, when that one lady didn't come back and it wasn't her fault, the husband was ready to reject her, and because of that, Lord Ramchandra had to set an example, or not exactly set an example, but to arrange for Sita Devi to be sent away so that people couldn't criticize him. I mean, there was an unfortunate culture at that particular time. And, that's, unfortunate. So, anyway, but Bhudevi recognizes, of course, in this particular verse, let's go back to the verse. Okay, here's the verse again. In the let's see, in the commentary by Jiva Goswami, she began lowering her head and folding her hands. She began praising him since he was the Lord of the universe. In other words, that phrase, that's the operative phrase, indicates that the reason she was praising him is because, it's a little fear there. Awe and reverence. Not the sort of fear that, she's just shaking, he's going to kill me or anything like that. But she definitely has that awe and reverent, fearful mood. And we find in the, because Lakshmi and her have the same mood. So we find Chaitanya Mangal, that mood is described in relationship to Lakshmi being asked to give Narada Muni some Mahaprasadam. So Lakshmi is there at the lotus feet of the Lord. Also, she resides on the chest. I guess both things. So Narada Muni is serving Lakshmi, making a trick so that he can ask for benediction. And he asked for the benediction of Mahaprasadam. And when he asked for the benediction of Mahaprasadam, Lakshmi has this order not to give it to him. And she's getting real nervous about the whole thing. And she's eternally married to him. That's her mood. That's her relationship. She recognizes that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, she delicately, with fear, approaches him. And she approaches him, and then, of course, he's not angry with her. He just says, all right, give some Mahaprasadam, prasadam remnants, to Narada Muni when I'm not looking. Which is interesting, anyway. Because even if he was looking, she'd feel guilty. It's interesting, isn't it, the relationship? And she's really attached to that particular mood. Of course, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we find the description and the conversation, which we talked about recently, conversation between Venkatabhata and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about Lakshmi's position. Why can't Lakshmi enter into the rasa dance? And even though she wants to, even though she's executing austerities to enter into the rasa dance, is because she's really attached to that mood of awe and reverence. So that's part of her nature. So part of Bhumi's nature too is they're both worshiping the Lord in awe and reverence. And I had some quotes here, but anyway. And so, how does that relate to us? This is an interesting question. Oh, I'm not Lakshmi. I wish I had Lakshmi. But anyway, not Lakshmi the person, but Lakshmi the gold. So anyway, it's now coming. Okay, I'll take that since you are a chaste lady married to a good devotee. I'll take that as Krishna's will, Krishna's statement. So even though we're not Lakshmi, I'm not Lakshmi, you're not Lakshmi, none of us are Lakshmi, maybe someone here is. But anyway, actually Prabhupada said that if a husband and wife don't argue, isn't it? Which is quite remarkable, historical. Then Lakshmi is automatically present in the house. But that's another issue. So what can we learn from her mood? Oh, incidentally, I want to tell another story first. Of course, we also understand her mood in the past time that occurred when her husband got really angry and killed Hiranyakashipu. That, oh my God, is that my husband? She was afraid of approaching him anyway. So her mood is that of awe and reverence, and basically we at the present stage need to cultivate that particular mood of awe and reverence in relationship to Krishna. I'm talking about me, of course. The rest of you, you're gopis or coward boys or something like that. So that mood of awe and reverence is really emphasized by Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas, and I'm going to read something that indicates this, especially in regard to the deities. And of course, we are worshiping Radha and Krishna, obviously, Radha Golokananda. Because when I first came to the movement, I didn't really understand the mood of awe and reverence too much. And even when I was worshiping Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I was worshiping, my mood was not the correct mood. After I first got initiation, then I was given the deities of a sannyasi. I wasn't a sannyasi. To worship. It was actually, anyway, Guru Kripa's deities. He gave, because I was on their party as a brahmachari. One of the most intense experiences I've had in my Krishna consciousness movement. So anyway, but then I just dealt with them like my buddies. I dressed Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu up as a sannyasi, didn't even understand his mood, had the wrong mood. I gave him a little danda, the sannyas dhoti, and even here in Nugaloka, when I was first dressing the deities, which I wasn't allowed to do after a while, I dressed them in, with the wind flowing through the altar, and even some other immature devotees copied me. So, Prabhupada says here, regarding your question, this is a letter, 69-124. That means January 24th, 1969. In the beginning, when the devotees first started to worship Radha and Krishna. Regarding a question about why we dress the deities in a very opulent fashion and not as simple coward boys and girls. This is an intelligent question, and the answer is that according to the regulated principles, we cannot worship Radha Krishna now in that mood. We're worshiping Radha and Krishna, but we're worshiping in a different mood. Radha Krishna worship is meant for persons who have already developed spontaneous love of God. That's the Raganuga platform, beginning with the Raganuga platform. In the training period, we are only worshiping Lakshmi Narayan. We worship Radha Krishna because Lakshmi Narayan is also there. We understand one of my favorite verses, Advaita Chuta Nadu Ananta Rupa Madhyam Puranam Purisham Navayovanam Cha. There's one God. Actually, when the gopis saw Narayan, they weren't thinking of that verse in the Brahma Samhita. They were confused. They were only attracted to Krishna. And that was the Chaturvyuha pastime, where Krishna took the forearm for him in order to hide from the gopis. Anyway, probably. But actually we do not worship. With our present deity ceremonies, we are worshiping Lakshmi Narayan. Actually Radha Krishna worship would be spontaneous, and we wouldn't be paying attention so much to the timing and everything like that. We'd still follow the rules and regulations. I mean, that's another point I want to talk about in a second. How sometimes people think that the Raganuga platform means you're not following the rules and regulations. I had one of my godbrothers who, we complained to, and we said, why'd you get up early in the morning? And he said, isn't there any place for spontaneous devotional service? My thinking was, if one is actually spontaneous, then what? You get up in the morning. Yeah, yeah. It is an example. And, because, Krishna's going to come. Okay, Haribol. Because spontaneous, at this point, in my devotional service, we'd spontaneously sleep with the covers over our head. That would be our spontaneity. Narayan is there. Narayan is there when Krishna is, but actually we do not worship Radha Krishna in the original form. This is why we should worship Radha Krishna, Lakshmi, Narayan, feature with all respect and reverence. If we deviate from this standard, then we shall be prakrita sahajya, which means a person, Prabhupada defines the word, a person who takes things very cheaply, very easily. There's an interesting word that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur used. I'm trying to remember the word. Anyway, it had sahaja, but it was like spiritual sahaja. Because actually a pure devotee is not taking things cheaply, but he's taking things spontaneously. What's that? Did anyone remember the word? Anyway, there was another word. We worship Lakshmi Narayan because Radha Krishna includes Lakshmi Narayan. There's no necessity of installing Lakshmi Narayan deity. It is just like a king who is engaged in administering justice. And we should see like that this is the king's room, the king's throne over there. And the whole temple belongs to Radha Golokananda. He's the king here. Everything is meant for his enjoyment. And we take food, prasadam, after he enjoys. Actually, that business belongs to the Justice Department. Actually, the king who is engaged in administering justice. Actually, that business belongs to it. But what is that Justice Department? It's all part of the king's energy, and the king also has the power to execute this function. And in the Adi Leela, it's more about premature jumping up or thinking oneself on a higher platform than one is actually at. In the Adi Leela, 13th chapter, text 42, Prabhupada says, persons who are after sense gratification, this is in the purport, should not try to imitate Raganuga devotional service, the songs of Chandidas, Vidyapati, and Jayadev, which Sadhvi gave a very nice class about Jayadev Goswami the other day, describe the transcendental activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mundane reviewers of these songs simply help people in general become devotees. And this leads only to social scandals and atheism in the world. One should not misunderstand the pastimes of Radha and Krishna to be the activities of a mundane young boy and girl. And Barbara goes, young boys and girls are most abominable. It's not a politically correct statement, but it's true. Therefore, those who are in bodily consciousness and desire sense gratification are forbidden to indulge in discussions of the transcendental pastimes of Shri Radha and Krishna. Now, you may say, why did Prabhupada present the pastimes of Shri Radha and Krishna in the Krishna book? In the early days of the movement, actually, it was one of the first books we distributed, hardbound books we distributed. It was interesting. And the reason is because Prabhupada was able to encapsulate the philosophy there so that people couldn't become confused, whereas in many of these other literatures, You do not find the elaborate philosophical discussions surrounding the pastimes, because there's an assumption the person who is reading these literatures or hearing these literatures already understands the Siddhanta. And in the Chaitanya Shikshamrita, just a quote from the Chaitanya Shikshamrita, which is actually one of my favorite literatures, we have those who have not attained the platform of spontaneous attainment and devotional attachment, devotional service, render devotional service under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master according to the regulated principles mentioned in the revealed scriptures. According to the revealed scriptures, this kind of devotional, we understand this, called Vaidhi Bhakti. When bound jivas have a great attachment for everything except for Krishna, they have little room for attachment to Krishna. And then he's describing Vaidhi Bhakti there. I had so much here. Oh, okay. And another quote by Srila Prabhupada here, and we're going to go down. In Madhya Lila 22, 156. One executes this Raganuga Bhakti in two ways, external and internal. When self-realized, the advanced devotee externally remains like a neophyte and executes all the Shastric injunctions, especially those concerning hearing and chanting. But within his mind, in his original purified self-realized position, he serves Krishna in Vrindavan in his particular way. He serves Krishna 24 hours a day, all day and night. Now, another point I want to make, that when Prabhupada states he executes all the Shastric injunctions, that means all the Shastric injunctions that deal with devotional service. Because Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in some of his works, mentions that before one is self-realized, then one has this what's called namitika, this ordinary injunctions, like according to his caste or whatever, or his social situation, that one is obligated to perform. But one who is actually Krishna conscious, or at least on the Raganuga platform, he's not obligated to perform all those social functions. But he still performs all the devotional functions, like the 9 processes of devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. And another quote from the Chaitanya Shikshamrita talks about the qualification for Raganuga. So you know when you're ready for Raganuga. That person who becomes greedy to attain the emotional state in which the Ragatmaka devotees serve Krishna is qualified for Raganuga. Ragatmaka means those devotees, eternal devotees, who are eternal devotees, Nishasiddha devotees, or those who have attained pure devotional service. Those who have great Ragatmaka means those whose Atma is Raga. Those who have greed to attain the emotional state of the inhabitants of Braja situated in Ragatmaka Bhakti are qualified. This greed, so here's the method to attain that. This greed for the object arises from hearing the sweet emotions of the inhabitants in the Bhagavatam, not from scriptural injunctions or reasoning. So in other words, we could still hear about their emotions in the Bhagavatam, spoken by authorized devotees, and that greed is awakened as we're performing the Vaidhi functions. And again, in the Chaitanya Shikshamrita, Raganuga Bhakti includes all the same angas as Vaidhi Bhakti, all the same angas as Vaidhi Bhakti. Not the social functions or anything like that. You have to go to someone's birthday party, or you have to I mean, even though those devotees in Vaidhi Bhakti don't have to do all these different ceremonies when someone dies. I mean, for example, I just got a letter from one of my disciples in, where is she? Vancouver. And her aunt just died, and she was told by her whole family member, all of her family members, you can't do devotional service. You can't chant or anything for 21 days, or whatever it was. You know, you're not even allowed to worship the Lord or chant. What to speak of, going on the altar or doing something like that. And I said, no. Scriptural injunctions. So anyway. So Raganuga Bhakti includes all the same angas as Vaidhi Bhakti. That means the Nava Bhakti process. Begin with hearing, chanting, remembering. But the devotees of Raganuga Bhakti perform those same activities with the spontaneous movement. Same thing Prabhupada said in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, anyway, so this is the point I was making, that one has to serve in the mood of Bhumi, or Bhudevi in this particular case, which is a mood of awe and reverence. And if Krishna does something you don't like, God forbid, or God forbid, he's God. We always use that expression. Your son dies, or your relative dies, or something like that, then, okay, Krishna, you still go on worshiping Krishna. Or something unfortunate happens. Tatena kampam suchamikshimana bhujanavatma kam vipakam ridvadvapur vidadam namaste jiveta yo mukti pade siddhayabhak. You go on offering Krishna service with your body, mind, and words, even if everything is falling apart in your world. So, on that happy note, we got, yes, Mother Urbala. No, because yad yada charity shreshtas tatati veta rojanaha. Now, if you're like Sanatana Goswami, you're not doing public worship, then you have Madan Mohan hanging from the tree over there who wants some salt, and you say, you got to get it yourself. But, if there's no salt for the Radha Golokananda, we don't go to Golokananda and say, if you want salt, you got to go to Walmart yourself. Yeah. I mean, but if we were in the spontaneous mood and everybody here was in the spontaneous mood, we wouldn't, I don't know if we'd say that to Radha Golokananda, but we would say, there's no salt, you just have to accept it the way it is. Instead, we should find salt. Go to someone's house nearby and get salt. Yeah. 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 Devotees.
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Buddha Sundaranga Kandar Agong Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobha
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Andani Yasa Sakalem Priya Priti Manti Vasyam Dipan Dikayanti Jiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam
Namaha Krishna Padaya Krishna Prastaya Buddhaya Jimate Bhakti Vedanta Sammeniti Namane Krishna Prastaya Buddhaya Namaste Rabbit Sotire Ve Muramani Vacha Neke Seksha Shunyavade Pasacha Satarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Koti Advaita Gadada Siva Sati Gaurata Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadada Siva Sati Gaurata Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Radha Shiva Sati Gaurata Prenda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Gati Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Gati Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Narada, Hanurokinana, Ranaganokina, Radhe. Naya Radha, Rukanana Radha, Rukanana Radhe. Naya Radhe, 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 Naya Radhe. Hey, Radhe, 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 Jaya Radhe, Jaya Sri Radhe, Jai Om